Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NBA and the NFL. Got a brand new video for you, ladies and gentlemen. Today, man, we have a large 11-game slate in the association. But before I get started with my picks for today, I appreciate you guys drop a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, first time here, never seen any of my NBA or NFL lineup advice videos, and you want to be able to get this content on a regular basis, the only thing you need to do to be a part of the DFS Zone community and get these videos on a consistent basis is subscribe down below and make sure you put on that bell icon, turn that on. This way you don't miss out on any of my NBA or NFL lineup advice videos. Again, with that being said, today is Friday, November the 30th, and we have an 11-game slate in the association. Let's just dive right in. I'm really pressed for time today, so I'm going to try to be as quick as I can, just simply because I got to get out of here very, very soon, and I wanted to make sure I get a video out for you guys, so it may be a little abbreviated, a little bit quicker, but nonetheless, I'm going to try to give you the best possible information. So we're going to go right over to point guard. And at point guard today, man, I'm going to come back to my main man, Kemba Walker. I mean, he's playing at home. He's going up against Utah. I could see him and Donovan Mitchell really trying to just battle it out. And again, his numbers have been just too good at home. I just got to go with him, and I'm willing to pay up for him. He's going to be one of my main guys. Now, granted, I could go through this list here. I'm going to tell you there's going to be some other people that I have exposure to today, but I think I like Kemba Walker the most. So I'm going to recommend that to you guys, my audience. It's entirely up to you. Again, nothing's guaranteed, but Kemba Walker, 27 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 44.6 fantasy points per game, 9,400. You pretty much need about 47 fantasy points from him. I think he's going to be able to get 50 or better in this matchup. I can just really feel that he's just going to go off. He has been on a little bit of a slump as of late, hasn't been shooting as well. He's going to break out of it. It's going to break out at some time because he just takes massive minutes. He has massive minutes. He takes massive usage of offensively. He gets a lot of usage, and on top of it, he takes massive shots. That's the most important thing. Gets a lot of shots on his time on the floor. On DK's 8,800, you pretty much need 44 there, so it's a little more respectable there. That's more about where his average is at. But nonetheless, as you can see here, he's been a little bit below his average over the course of the last few games. Let's go over to the cruncher. And we're going to go right here to Kemba. And as you can see, Kemba Walker, man, a little bit of a downtrend. He's been pretty much around average, basically as far as price tag is concerned. But his price tag is now went from 97, went down $300. We'll take that. His minutes are there, 34 or better over the course of the last 4 games. Usage rate is going to be there. We know that. As you can see, his problem has been that he's been not that efficient with his field goal shooting. He's 6 of 19, 3 of 12, 7 of 23 in the last 3 games. That is pretty poor. Last game out, 1 of 6 from 3, and he actually missed 4 free throws. So he gets to the free throw line. He's aggressive. We know he's going to get the shots. We know he's going to take some threes. We know he's going to get a few rebounds. He's capable of doing a number of other things. He can assist the ball. He definitely passes the ball. And on top of that, he can get some steals. He had 4 steals in that game, so he made up with 4 steals in 1 block, even though he didn't shoot that well. Like to see that from Kemba Walker. Listen, again, this guy is just a beast. He's a beast for a little guy, for a point guard. He's probably one of the most savage point guards in this league. So, he's a fantastic play because he is at home, man. At home, as we have discussed before, at home, his stats at home: 50% field goal percentage, 44% shooting from 3, 85% from the free throw line, averaging 47 fantasy points per game and 28 floor points per game on average at home. And I think Utah is going to be in it. Remember, Utah is not the same team they were last year. We were praising them. I praised them late last year when I started the channel. Hey, you know what? Utah, I love that defense, the half-court set, the half-court defense, slowing down the game. They're not that type of team. They really have paced it up. Their defense is not the same. So I really liked the matchup for Kemba Walker. Utah is coming in 10th in defending point guards, 16th in fantasy points per game allowed to point guards. As of late, over the last 6 games, they have given up 31.6 fantasy points per game. As we all know, Ricky Rubio is not a good defender. That's one of the other reasons why I like Kemba Walker in this matchup. 35 to Russell, to D'Angelo Russell. 40 to Darren Collison, and De'Aaron Fox put up 41. This is all 3 guys over the course of the last 4 or 5 games that they have faced. They have put up those numbers on them. So I definitely love Kemba Walker. If those guys could put up nearly 40 or better, I could see Kemba Walker getting 50 or better. So I like Kemba Walker here today as the point guard. If you want to find some value at point guard and you want to pay down, listen, again, real quickly, Ben Simmons, I like him in this matchup. I may have a little exposure to Ben Simmons. And I do like Michael Connolly here against Brooklyn. His price tag is really, really high. but that should be an interesting matchup. I think he can definitely get near that value. Then you come down. Not too fond of a lot of other guys. Obviously, Dennis Smith Jr. and J.J. Barrera are definitely stand out at those price tags. Smith just came back, played I think 31, 32 minutes and put up like 35, 36. J.J. played I think 18 minutes in the last game, and he put up a bunch of points too, over 30 as well. But I'm going to come down to this young kid here. I played him the last 2 times he has played. I'm going to ride him again. I didn't mention him in the other videos because I didn't think he was of great value, but now his price tag is up. It may be a little close. Ryan Arcidiacono is definitely someone I am considering here today. 5,500 here on Fanduel. He's averaging 8 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 20 fantasy points. At 5,500, you pretty much need from Diacono about 27. On DK, he is priced just perfect. Definitely a nice play on DK. He's 4,400 on DK. You only need 22. It's right about his average. But look at what I like is the minutes. The confidence is there. He's getting shots. He's getting opportunities. In the last 2 games, he's been explosive. 22 and 22 respectively from the floor. His minutes are outstanding, over 31 minutes a game. Over the course of the last 4 games, he's averaging more than 33 minutes per game. And he had one dud game here, but overall, 48 and 35, pretty much 27 and 20. Those are above his average, so he is trending upward as well. We come over to the cruncher. And where's Ryan? Right here. And Ryan, hey, the numbers are not too bad. Now, granted, his usage rate is not extremely high, about maybe 11, 12%. But the last 2 games, 17% as far as his usage rate. And look at the shots. He's taken 12 in both games, 6 and 9 respectively from 3. So if he's going to go at that pace, I will ride him. Okay, I'm going back to the well with Ryan Arcidiacono today. He put up 22 and 22 from the floor. He got 5, 6, 7 steals in the last 2 games. He's at 8 in the last 3 games. He's playing very, very well right now. And he's going up against a team that's had a little bit of issues with some point guards. And they're going to need him to play well. Detroit, 27th in defending point guards. They're 27th in defending point guards, 15th in fantasy points per game allowed. They have been allowing in the last 6 games 31.4 fantasy points per game. They did give up 45 to Booker, 36 to Chris Paul, 28 to Mr. Sexton, and 30 to DJ Augustin. So if DJ Augustin can get 30, I think Mr. Ryan Arcidiacono can do the same. And at this price tag, I mean, if he could get me 37 to 40, which we already see that he has that 40-point upside, I'll be more than happy with that. So Ryan Arcidiacono is in play. At shooting guard, I'm going to go cheaper here. Let me put Mr. Diacono here. Let's put Kemba Walker up here so you can at least see him. Shooting guard, and you can go with either or. So by the time you're going to have at least 10, 11, maybe 12 different plays. At shooting guard, we have here, James Harden is in play, ladies and gentlemen. Plain and simple, if Chris Paul is out. It's a no-brainer. Pencil him in. You don't need to hear anybody else tell you about that. That should be automatic. If you watch the games, he has been just lighting it up with Chris Paul. It makes you think why they do have Chris Paul, because James Harden handles the ball very well, just coming up the court and really him just dictating the game pace. He's able to do that himself. But it is what it is. Chris Paul is a part of this team. He hasn't been playing, and James Harden has been just lighting it up. So you might as well just get in there. 11-game slate. He's not going to be, if he's highly owned, I would think it's probably 40%. I can't see him being 70, 80% owned, but you never know. Anything is possible. But James Harden is definitely someone there if Chris Paul is out. Other than that, come down. I want to give guys some savings today. I do like Donovan Mitchell, battling up against Kemba Walker. I do like a little bit Bradley Beal again today. I just got a feeling he's going to play well, but I'm not going to mention him in this video. I do like also Drew Holiday, but I'm going to go with his brother, Justin Holiday, simply because of the minutes. And I'm just going to add him here to the chart, so this way you guys can see some sort of a lineup building here. But Justin Holiday, I love the fact he's at 6K. He's putting up almost 13 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 27 fantasy points. At 6K, you need 30. On DK, he's 5,400. You only need about 27 there to me value. He's at that range of 27 right now. And what I like is that he's been averaging more than 37 minutes a game pretty much over the last 4 games. He's been playing lights out minutes. We come over to the cruncher. And let's take a look at Mr. Where are you? Justin Holiday. All right, there you go. And he has been, the minutes is just the thing that is intriguing me, because for the price tag, I only need him to get about 28, 29 minutes or better. And he's given me nearly almost 40 minutes a game over the last 4 games. Usage rate as high as 20%, but is more like 15 or 16%. And then, of course, he's been shooting like crazy. He's getting more than enough shots. I mean, he's taken 10 from the floor in the last game, shot poorly. 2 of 10 and 2 of 10, and that's the reason why he finished only with 25.2 fantasy points. But nonetheless, we still see that he's getting pretty much 20 shots, 10 from the floor and 10 from 3. He's been averaging pretty much in the last 4 games about 10 threes, and he's been shooting about 14, 15 shots a game during the course of that same 4-game stretch. I love it. Get some rebounds. He can get some assists, and surprisingly, he's been playing fairly well defensively. He's had 4 blocks over the last 4 games and pretty much 6 steals over the course of those same 4 or 5 games. So, again, someone that you can definitely pencil in a matchup like this. Detroit has been fairly well defending shooting guards. They're 4th in defending shooting guards, but they're 13th in fantasy points per game allowed thus far this year. Oh, and also, his home and away splits on the road. This is the only concern I have for Justin Holiday. Just to touch upon this. When I looked at his stats, he obviously is having trouble away from home, but I still love the minutes. I love the shots he's taken. I'm going to take a stab at him. You don't necessarily have to, but I think he's a fine play. On the road, he's shooting 34% as opposed to at home, he's shooting 50%. And he's shooting 34% from 3, which is not too bad on the road, but shooting 46% at home. So it's a big, big drop off. Only concern there, but he is still averaging 27 fantasy points per game on the road, which is pretty good because he's been able to get some steals and do some other things. He did play Detroit already. They already played one time before. They played back on October the 20th. He shot 6 of 8, 75% from the floor, 2 of 3 from 3, shot 67% from there, and put up 35 fantasy points. So he definitely already had one good game against them. That's one of the other reasons why I chose him. Like I said, Detroit coming in 4th in defending shooting guards, 13th in fantasy points per game allowed to shooting guards. In the last 6 games, they have had a little bit of a problem. 36.6. They've been trending downward as far as fantasy points. They have been giving up a little bit more, 36.6 fantasy points per game. They did give up 35 to Mr. Timmy Hardaway, 40, 44, and 70 respectively to James Harden, 45 to Mr. Fournier, and 47 to Mr. Josh Richardson. So there is definitely some room there for Mr. Holiday to at least get us at least at that 30-point price tag. You want 30, but we're hoping for 40 or better to exceed value and make that a very, very good deal for us. All right, as far as value here, yes, shooting guard, I'm definitely waiting on the news on Chris Paul. If Chris Paul is out, I definitely would like a little bit of Eric Gordon if I'm not going to pay up for Harden. So I would say if you're not paying up for Harden, definitely play some Eric Gordon here on Fanduel. You can use him definitely also on DK. And other than that, I mean, Dennis Schroeder going back home to Atlanta where he originated. You could use that, that revenge game narrative if you want to. I don't know how many minutes he's going to get there. He hasn't been getting as much usage since Mr. Westbrook has been back. But Dennis Schroeder going back into Atlanta should be playing against Atlanta at OKC could be someone to consider. And then other than that, I would probably come down to Terrence Ross might be someone I might consider, or Magruder simply because of the injuries. And Miami going up against New Orleans in a paced-up game for Minnesota. For Miami could be a good position for Magruder. All right, let's go over to small forward. At small forward, man, LeBron James is my main guy. There's no doubt about it. LeBron James is the guy that I'm going to go to today at 11,000. I'm just going to take a stab at him. Again, you don't have to play LeBron James. I like his matchup against Dallas. I know Dallas has been playing fairly well defensively. They've been playing pretty well as a team. But LeBron James is LeBron James, man. And, I think he's going to start getting cooked. And at 55, at 11,000, you're pretty much LeBron James. What is this? Excuse me. Sorry about that. I got that Slack chat pop up. So LeBron James, 28 points, 8 rebounds, 6.5 assists, pretty much 7 assists a game, 51 fantasy points per game. At 11,000, you need 55. And on DK, he's pretty much about the same price. I think he's 10.4, so you need about 52. You need about 52. So, I mean, 52 to 55 is very much doable, very much attainable for LeBron James. I mean, he put up a 61 spot. Granted, he is on the front end of a back-to-back. He did play last night 38 minutes. Again, if you don't want to pay LeBron James, I don't need to go over a whole lot of LeBron James. We know that he's good. Just not want to let you know that he is going up. He is playing against Dallas, and Dallas is not a team that I don't see anybody there that will be able to defend him. I think that he is someone that you should definitely consider. But if you're not willing to pay up for LeBron James, I am willing to come down to, Otto Porter may be someone you might be of interest to me. He'll be probably in my player pool. We'll see if I decide to go with him. TJ Warren is out, so I don't know if that opens the doors for anything there as far as Phoenix is concerned. You would figure that you're going to definitely see more usage for Booker, so Booker might be better more in play there if you guys wanted to go as shooting guard with Booker. Let's go over to where I'm looking at is more in this range here, Kyle Anderson and Joe Ingles, just to be able to get a LeBron James in there. But again, you don't want to go LeBron James, you could go with Joe Ingles. I think Joe Ingles is in a good spot in this Charlotte game, man. A game that's going to be paced up, a lot of possible scoring. Utah is going to need him to score. He's a good three-point shooter. Joe Ingles comes in here at 5,800. You need about 28 from him. He's averaging 13 points, 4 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 27 fantasy points per game. At 5,008, you need 28. And on DK, he's 54. You need 27 or so. So pretty much around his range, 27, 28. But he has 40-point upside. So he can get us that additional 10 to 15 fantasy points that we really are looking for at this price tag. And he's playing more than enough minutes, 28 to as much as 37 minutes over the course of the last 8 games. Let's go over here to the Fantasy Cruncher. And like I said, I'm not going to go over the James situation. We know that he's someone that I definitely really like tonight. But let's go over Joe Ingles. And Joe Ingles, as you can see, 29 or better, as much as 37 minutes. His usage rate is pretty much about 18, 19%. And he takes about maybe 10, 11 shots a game, which is reasonable. And I like the fact that he does shoot the three. And he's about 50% from three, especially over the last 5 or 6 games. He's capable of getting you some assists. He definitely rebounds when he needs to. And then he could get some steals. He's got 7, 8, 9 steals over the course of the last 3 games, And that's pretty darn good if we can get that from Joe Ingles. And we know that he has 40-point upside. That's the idea here. He has 40-point upside. His home and away splits, not too bad. 47% shooting from the floor, 37% from 3, 71% from the free throw line. He's averaging 26 fantasy points per game. He did play against Charlotte last year, did put up a 36 spot and a 23 spot in 2 meetings. Going up against Charlotte right now this year, 22nd in defending small forwards. They're 27th in fantasy points per game allowed to small forwards thus far at this moment. Over the course of the last 6 games, they've been doing a little bit better, 28.6 fantasy points per game given up to small forwards. They did give up during that stretch 29 to Bogdanovich, 29 to J.J. Redick, 29 to J.R. Smith, 42 to George, and 35 to Tatum. The J.R. Smith was way earlier in the year, by the way. I just wanted to throw him in there because Joe Ingles is obviously is going to get the kind of minutes and the time more so than what J.R. Smith got in that particular game. So it comes to show you that there is an opportunity for Joe Ingles to put up some nice numbers, and I believe he will. All right, so that's where we stand as far as small forward. Let's go over to power forward. And at power forward, obviously, like Anthony Davis, I don't like his price. So I'm willing to come down to Blake Griffin. You could slap Blake Griffin in here if you wanted to. I think that he's someone I'm going to have him in a number of lineups. I definitely like his matchup against Chicago. Other than that, I love the fact that Aaron Gordon is more than likely out. If he is out, I definitely love Vooch, which I'm going to discuss in a moment at center. But that's going to open the doors, obviously, for other guys. And then to come down here, you got Jaren Jackson Jr. I really like here. I would like to discuss him at 6,900. He did not play extremely well in the last game because he didn't shoot well at the same time. But let's go over to power forward. And let me go here back to him. So, again, man, he's averaging about 13 points, 4.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 27.7, pretty much 28 fantasy points per game at 6,009. You need 33, 34 fantasy points. And on DK, he's 5,800. I like his price a lot better on DK. You only need 28 there, and that's pretty much around where his average is at. But we know he has 40-plus upside. We're going to come and take a look at him over here. And where is my friend, Mr. Jackson? And as you can see, Mr. Jackson, a little bit up and down, a little choppy, and this is all due to, folks, he gets into foul trouble. The kid has got to stay away from foul trouble. If he can stay away from foul trouble, he's going to be just fine. 5 fouls here, Played only 19 minutes, only shot 1 of 4, wasn't involved. The game was actually a blowout. Over here, he had 5 fouls against the Knicks, was able to survive, had a great game, put up 47. But as you can see, when he has 5 fouls or 4 fouls, he doesn't get a whole lot. 10 fantasy points here in 12 minutes because he got 5 fouls. That means he probably got 3 very quickly, and he was like only played a few minutes in the first half. He's got to stay away from foul. But if he stay away from foul problems, you can see what he can do. 47 here, only 4 fouls here, put up 39, pretty much there against the Clippers. Over here, only 3 fouls, put up 35. Over here, he had 5 fouls, pretty close, put up 51. Again, he just got to stay away from getting into trouble. If he stays away from that, he's going to be just fine. He's going to be just fine. He's averaging about 22, 23% usage rate, and he's playing about 25, 26 minutes a game. On top of that, he's getting pretty much about 10, 11 shots per game on average from the floor. That's going to be even more so, especially if, remember, Marc Gasol is a game-time decision for today. If Marc Gasol is out, you could definitely expect Jaren Jackson to actually get a bump in minutes, and he's going to need to stay away from foul trouble so he can help this team up front. I also like Mr. JaMychal Green in this same matchup due to that situation if Marc Gasol is out. So that's another guy that you can consider here also. But again, I like this kid here. If he can stay out of foul trouble, I think he can get the job done. And the beauty that he brings is that he gets the rebounding, and this is what he does best here. Other than committing fouls, he is very good at blocking shots. 10, 11. I mean, he's had 15 block shots in the last 5 games. I mean, that's a lot of fantasy points that we can gather off a guy like this. And going up against Brooklyn, his home and away splits, not too bad. 49% field goal percentage, 71% from the free throw line, 24 fantasy points per game. Again, he does play a little bit better at home. His percentages are a little bit better shooting at home, but those numbers are not too bad for him on the road. Versus Brooklyn, they're 26 in defending. As you can see, defending power forwards. 11th in fantasy points allowed to power forwards thus far this year. They've given up 25 fantasy points per game. This is during the course of the last 6 games. They did give up 24 to Favors, 22 to Chandler, 42 to Taj Gibson, 41 to Doncic, and 37 to Gallinari. So if these guys can get those kind of numbers, I still think Jaren Jackson, as long as he stays out of foul trouble, and if there's no Marc Gasol, I could see him getting a bump up. He can definitely get us 40 or better here today. So Jaren Jackson Jr. is someone that I would consider. If you want to go and get a little bit of value, I kind of like, there's a number of guys I do like. Other than Jaren Jackson, you definitely got to consider Jason Tatum. You know, Boston's going to need some help. No Al Horford today. But I'm going to come down. The Morris brothers are intriguing to me, but I like Marcus Morris. I do plan to have some exposure to Larry Nance Jr. in this game against Boston due to the fact that Boston has no Al Horford. So Larry Nance should be able to get a few more minutes there, and as well as get opportunities as well. Wendell Carter Jr. might be another nice play at 5,800, but I'm going to come down to Marcus Morris. I like Marcus Morris here as a value play. I think at 5,100, the situation they're in, no Al Horford. He's going to play more minutes. Him and Baines are going to be pretty good options today for you guys. 30 minutes in the start. Let's go over his numbers. 14 points, 6.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 24 fantasy points, 5,100. You need 25 to meet value. He's 5,400 on DK. You need about 26, 27 there. Very much attainable for him. It's pretty much close to his average, and he's been trending up. 38 here, a dud game here with 18, which is not too bad, but 25 and 35, he's been trending right back up. Had a double-double his last game out. Come over and take a look at him a little bit further over here. And Marcus Morris. And Marcus Morris, you know, again, minutes are there, man. 30 minutes and 30 minutes over the last 2 games. Usage rate pretty much at about 20, 21%. And he's getting about 10, 11 shots a game. And the beauty of him is just like his brother. They shoot fairly well from 3. I think he's a better 3-point shooter than Markieff. Got maybe about 4 or 5 threes, maybe 4 threes on average per game, maybe 5. And then, of course, he brings all that dirty stuff. He gets the rebounds. He's able to pass the ball a little bit, and then he brings a little bit of defense. He gets his steals here and there. Another guy that gets a little bit into foul trouble. Stay away from foul trouble. He'll be on the floor longer. Boston really needs him badly here tonight. I think he's a fine play here. He did play against Cleveland last year and put up 29. In 2 games, put up 34 and 32 respectively. So he has had a little bit of success against Cleveland. As you can see, 34 and 32 here, and especially during the playoff run. So Yes, Marcus Morris is definitely in play for me. He's going up against Cleveland. They're 13th in defending power forwards, 13th in fantasy points allowed to power forwards. They have only been allowing 25.3 fantasy points per game, but they did give up 38 to Mr. Grant, 43 to Blake Griffin, 25 to Marvin Williams, and 25 also to Jabari Parker. So I think that Mr. Morris has an opportunity here to at least get us value, and I think he can get us 30 or better. And if he gets us 30 or better, if we can get 10 more fantasy points out of him and get 32 to 35 fantasy points, he will exceed value, and that is what we're looking for. Marcus Morris, value play at power forward. Other than that, I do like Marvin Williams, and I do like a lot Mr. Jermichael Green. So keep him in mind as well. At 4,600, you pretty much only need about 22, 23, and he's averaging 22 already in a favorable matchup, especially if Marc Gasol is out. And if Mr. Jaren Jackson, for whatever reason, falls into pieces and get into trouble, he may be someone you may consider there as well. Let's just punch in Mr. Jaren Jackson here so you can see a little bit of where we're at. We have 6,300 left, and let's say if we go to the top. Now, again, at center, I do plan to have some exposure to Joel Embiid because I think he's just going to hammer Washington, and you should have some exposure. You need 55 there. He will be one of my guys that I'm going to definitely consider there. Marc Gasol, watch that injury. If he is out, definitely you should consider Green a little bit more and Mr. Jaren Jackson. But I'm going to come down here and with Aaron Gordon, possibly also a game-time decision as well. If he is out, I love Mr. Vucevic today. So my boy is going to be Vucevic. I think I've given him already about 3 or 4 times this year. He's been solid, man. 9,500. He's averaging 20 points, 11 rebounds, pretty much a double-double every single time out, or is capable of doing that. Perfect for DraftKings. 4 assists a game, 44 fantasy points per game. Again, 9,400, you need 47 on DK's 8,009, you need 44, right about where his average is at. And again, minutes are there, man. 30 to 31 minutes per game. Usage rate. Let's go over to the cruncher. And we're going to go down to Mr. Vooch and Vucevic, man. The usage rate is there, about 27%. He's averaging about 15, 16 shots a game. But look at 2 games out of the last 3. He took 20 and 21 respectively, and he took 4 and 8 in those games as far as threes are concerned. He's taking about 3 or 4 threes per game, and he's capable of hitting those threes, as we know. All right? He's capable. He's taking about... Then his free throw shooting, his free throw shooting has been pretty good. As you can see, he's pretty solid there. And then he does all the good stuff, man, the rebounding. Lots and lots of rebounds, probably about 10, 11 a game pretty much on average. He gets assists. In the last 3 games, he's been passing the ball well. He's one of the better passing centers in this league. And then he doesn't turn over the ball a whole lot. He does get into foul trouble. He fouled out of this game, 6 fouls here. In 29 minutes, he put up still 45 fantasy points because he still got 2 blocks, 7 assists, 8 total rebounds, and he shot fairly well from the floor. Didn't take as many shots because of the foul situation. If he could stay out of foul trouble, he could be very explosive. I see him getting 50 or better in this matchup. I mean, there should be, and especially if there's no Aaron Gordon, I think he's going to just tear things up today against Phoenix. He did play against Phoenix, 43 plus in 3 out of the last 4 games, last 4 meetings against Phoenix. He has put up 34 or better, as you can see that, 45, 44, and 45, 43, and 45 over the course of the last 4 games. And then his home and away splits this year in 10 games, he's shooting 57% from the floor, 45% from 3, which is absolutely, wonderful for a big man. 86% from the free throw line, averaging 11 rebounds, 1 steal and 1 block per game, and 47 fantasy points per game. So he has been pretty solid. Vucevic is definitely in play. Going up against Phoenix, 23rd in defending centers. They're allowing 38 fantasy points per game to centers thus far. Over the course of the last 6 games, I'm basing this by, they did give 48 to Turner, 51 to Drummond, 61 to Embiid, 43 to Adams, and 45 to Julius Randle. So he's my guy, man. Definitely play that. At least with 5,600. Remember, I did mention LeBron James. You could find some value in some other guys. I did mention a number of other people that I will have some exposure to. We could definitely touch upon a few other guys on the Slack group later as well, or anywhere here in the comment section of this video. You can definitely ask me about any other plays. Other than that, there is some value. If you don't want to play Vucevic, definitely somebody's going to be probably a little more popular today due to the fact that Al Horford is out. Is going to be Mr. Baines. So you could go with Aaron Baines tonight. If you wanted to, there's no problem whatsoever. I will have some exposure to him because I play multiple lineups, so I'm definitely going to have some exposure to Baines. With Al Horford out, he's going to get a bump in minutes. The last time Al Horford was out was when they played Atlanta. He played 23 minutes. He's been averaging about 18 minutes over the last 2 games with Al Horford. So I can see him still getting 23. He may even get as much as 25, 26, depending on how this game is going. If this game stays close and respectable, he might get 30 minutes. So you never know. He's capable of getting you close to 1 fantasy point per minute. So Mr. Baines is definitely in play at that value. And he's 3,200 on DK. So even cheaper over there. You only need 15 for him to meet value, and he's averaging more minutes than 15, and he's capable of getting you 15 or better fantasy points. So he's definitely someone to consider. And that's basically it. That is basically it, ladies and gentlemen. So again, this is how some of this stuff look. Again, you could throw in there James. You can mix match some of the ones that I mentioned. With James on here, obviously is going to be, you're probably going to be down to about 4,000. Let's just throw him on there real quick. Yeah, you're going to be down to 4,300 if you go that route. You could even still throw in there. You just mix and match some of those guys that I mentioned. There are a few others that I mentioned in between that were in that mid-price range that I think are excellent plays, like Jermichael Green and so on and so forth. So, again, just mix and match. There are some good plays. Again, Embiid is in play for me tonight. Vooch is in play. I do like the Jokic and Nurkic matchup. Should be pretty interesting, so I think that's a good play. Then you got DeAndre Jordan going up against the Lakers. The Lakers definitely have their problems dealing with centers, but Mr. Jordan hasn't been playing that well. But this may be a game for him to break out and have a good one. So he could be someone you can definitely get in there. There's some interesting plays here at center today. All right, so you could definitely go that route if you wanted to. Again, basically, drop a like on the video, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all the guys, everybody that's come aboard and has been a part of the DFS Zone community. Let's keep growing the community. Again, if you have not been here before and you want to be able to get this information. Again, a little choppy today, a little quick. I apologize for that. I'm really pressed for time. I figured let me just get the video out as best as I can just to make sure my viewers get something today. Again, we could chit chat about it right here in the video comment section below, or you can hit me up on one of the social medias, Twitter or on the Slack group. I will put another invite link, a new fresh one today to this video. You'll be able to get an opportunity to go in there as well. And that's basically it, man. Subscribe down below if you haven't done so already. And again, man, I wish everybody a lot of luck. TGIF, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.